Hello, everybody. Francois from How to Become More. Welcome to the podcast of all podcasts. Today, we're getting you, like usual, entrepreneurs fired up to actually produce their best, most powerful impact so they create more income, more impact, change more lives, and enjoy the journey as well. Let's face it, being an entrepreneur is not always easy, but this is the place to be charged up and wake up and make it happen. Welcome again. Today, you have me, and we're going to talk about the most powerful shift that you can make. What would that shift be? Is it from us? Is it from someone else? Is it a trick? Is it a system? Well, let's find out the most powerful shift that can be made. So, so then you know that my lifestyle and my teaching style is more of I share information and in a powerful way. What do I mean by that? I associate it with things that you already know. And I'm making those association as you listen, your awareness increases and you will never be the same again. So let's dive in right away. Let's start with an example. If you take a piece of steel and you throw it in water, what's going to happen? Yeah, it's going to sink. Some of you might be ahead of me, says maybe, maybe not. How about an anvil, a 20-pound anvil, and you throw it in the water? What's going to happen? Yeah, that one's going to sink for sure. Then with my kids, I have 6 kids, as you know. We used to go to Virginia Beach, Virginia, every summer, 2-3 weeks vacation there, beautiful. And then at one point, we went in a certain spot, and there we saw this 870-foot long steel structure, and it was floating. It was a boat. Yeah, huh. The boat was made out of steel. Do you see the shift that just happened in your mind right now? We talk about an anvil. Oh, yeah, of course. Metal things, they sink. Piece of steel, it sinks. Now I'm telling you, 870 feet long. It was thousands of tons in weight, and yet it was floating. It was floating just fine. Actually, it was floating by law because the pressure it was giving onto the water was the pressure that water was giving it back. By the way, that ship was a destroyer in Virginia Beach. And thanks to all those who served and all those who did serve, North America is a free country because of you. Thanks for serving and God bless. But now let's get back to the anvil and the boat. Both of them float and sink by law. Actually, by laws. Archimedes' law, buoyancy, cause and effect, Newton's law, and there's so many laws that affect if it floats or if it sinks. But everything, let make no mistake about it, is by law. And ignoring the laws will make steel sink. Knowing and working with the laws will make it float. Let's take another example, the Titanic. Well, the Titanic was a big piece of steel as well, and it sank, but it sank by law because it fractured the side of it, and then water started to come in. So the law was then changed. More weight was inside the boat, and there's not enough surface contact on the water, and that's why the boat sank by law. But before that, it was floating by law as well. So, hold on, Francois. A boat floating or sinking. What does that have to do with business success or being fired up to produce great results in a business? Good question. It's got a lot to do about it, and let's explore. But before we go there, let's find out about 2 business people. And these people operate the same business. Actually, it's a jewelry store. And they're in the same city, actually on the same street, just a couple of blocks one from the other. One is flourishing like crazy, and the other one is barely scraping by. And they both sell the same quote unquote stuff. They got jewelry, diamonds, watches, all the same stuff. Why then is it that one flourishes and the other one is not in the same city, on the same street, having access to the same people? Well, let's meet the owners, and I think it will become apparent to you. One of them is always nice, always smiling, always inviting, and always serving. The other one is always gloomy. And whenever you come into a store, you feel like you're bothering him. It's like you don't want to go back. So it's not the business that they're in, it's the person doing it. Remember, talking about the most powerful shift? It's not if you're in insurance, if you're a financial planner, real estate, business owners, entrepreneur. It's not the business that you're in, it's the person. So let's find out that it is the inside that's got things to do with it, not the outside. It's not, I like Wallace Wattles, a fantastic book and course that he made. And he says in there, it's not doing certain things, but it's doing things in a certain way. I like to repeat that again. It's not doing certain things, it's doing things in a certain way. Those two jewelers are doing the same thing. They're doing certain things. They're selling jewelry. They got a store and they clean it up and they make it happen and everything is good. So you're doing the same thing as your competition, are you? And then why is it that some succeed and others don't? Well, it's doing things in a certain way. What is that certain way? I'll be part of another discussion at one point. I'll give you a sample of it right here, right now. Leave everyone you meet with the impression of increase. That's doing things in a certain way. Everybody feels better after they met you. Everybody says, wow, that was a great encounter. I captured something from this encounter that we have together, and it's helping me in my life. And by the way, you, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, are the one that decides if any encounter you will leave them with the impression of increase. And also, are you looking to learn something from every person that you meet and every circumstances that you encounter? Very powerful introspective question. Doing things in a certain way is what makes the difference, and you are at the center of it. So, another example in nature. You say, another example, Francois? I love examples because it will make it resonate. And as you're going about your day later on, you're going to still think about those examples. And I'm doing them in many ways. One was in the water, the other one was in stores, and this one is going to be about nature. So, if someone wants to have a harvest, well, they prepare the earth. That's the number one thing that they do. And then, well, again, I'm not a farmer, so I might skip some steps here, but bear with me and you'll understand that it makes sense. Prepare the earth, then you plant good seeds, not bad ones, good seeds, and then you water and nurture it, and then it grows into a harvest, which is fantastic. Now, let's have or drive it home a little bit to where I want us to go today is if we look at preparing the earth and we think about it as our mind, your mind, my mind, everyone's mind. So the mind is like the earth. Are we preparing it to receive and planting good seeds, which is good ideas that we will nurture, good thoughts that we will explore and enable them to take root? And then we'll water and nurture them. How? By taking good actions with knowledge and understanding. Understanding the law that governs the success of the enterprise that we're in. Very important. And then it grows and we collect the harvest. That's the results. Big, small, good or bad. We are the initiator of it. And this is powerful. To understand better, let's build a model and let's look at the mind. If I ask you to think about the mind, what do you think comes up as a picture in your mind when I'm saying, what's the mind look like? Some people might think of the brain. Some people see nebulous thing. It doesn't really matter, but if you ask 10 different people, they will have 10 different description of it. So let's have and build a model that we can all agree on and build from it. And in 1934, Thurman Fleet was in a holistic heart, and he created something, and he said that the mind is not a thing, but mind is an activity. So mind is not a thing, but mind is an activity. And since we don't have a picture of it, let's create a picture that will help us understand it more. And what he did is, and you did this as a kid, but we're going to make it change a little bit, a stick person. So for this stick person, I want you to imagine a big circle that's the head, and then a small line, and then under it, a small circle that represents the body with 2 arms and 2 legs. So you got a big head and a small body. So this is a representation of the mind that we will work with. Now, if we look at the top circle, we'll call this the mind, and it's got 2 parts. Of course, the mind's got more than 2 parts, but to make it simple and understanding, we're just going to keep it to 2 parts. the top part is the conscious mind, and it experiences the world through the five senses: see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. That's how our conscious mind is experiencing the world. Then below this, on the other half of that circle on the top, is the subconscious mind. And so as we're thinking about the subconscious mind, this is where habits resides. This is where programming is. This is where you do not need to think about swallowing your saliva or clinging your eyes to keep them wet, or to breathe for that matter, or your heart that keeps going. All this is programmed in there, and it creates a simple, easy flow that you do not need to think about. It's done automatically. So the subconscious mind is absolutely wonderful. There's more aspects to it, but we're concentrating on this for now. So if we're looking at the conscious mind, this is where we can think. So as you're listening to me right now, you're having some thoughts. So hopefully you're looking at this big circle and you're seeing that we're talking about the conscious mind, which is the top part of the circle. And you can think ideas, you can originate ideas. And as you start thinking about ideas, images are going to come in your mind. And those, if some of those images are of interest to you, you may start to add feelings to them. If you think about a nice meal and you like to eat at a nice restaurant with your spouse or special other, or your family or friends, and then you see, oh, it's going to be so great. So all these images, you might even start to salivate. And that's because in the subconscious mind, there's things that are already in there, experiences that you have that enable you to process information much faster. And so you don't need to get tired in processing information. The subconscious mind will. And that's where the habits are residing. And do you know that 96 to 98% of our habits are habitual? 96 to 98% of our habits are habitual. No wonder we're reliving the same life again and again and again, because in the conscious mind, it's only 2 to 4%. Only 2 to 4% do we have conscious power over what it is that we're doing. 96 to 98% is controlled by the subconscious mind. So I give you something that's pretty funny on this. Tomorrow, when you put on your pants, find out which leg that you put in first. And then you can say, what are you doing, Francois? Well, think about this. Tomorrow, when you put on your pants, think about the leg. And if you're about, let's say, for example, to put the right leg in, stop yourself and put the left leg first. As you do this, you will stumble. You will tip over because you're not used to it. It is your subconscious mind that is programmed to do this. And where did this happen? When you were a kid, your mom or your dad, whenever they were putting your pants on, they were rolling one leg up. And then, so if they had the right leg up that's open, you'd put your left leg up, says, no, the other leg. And then you'd put the other leg. And through that repetition of your parents helping you to get dressed, when you finally got dressed on your own, you always put the same leg in first. You don't need to think about it. It's happening. Why am I saying all these things? Because we are programmed, want it or not. And many habits that we have are in our subconscious mind. And they call them paradigm. Joel Baker created a book called Paradigm, and he talked about this. He says that paradigm is a mental programming that we have in our subconscious mind that is all of our habitual behavior. And most of our behavior is habitual, as I said. So since the subconscious mind is in charge of the doing, so 96 to 98% of what you do is from the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is in charge of the doing. Not the conscious mind is only 2 to 4%. Think about this. Those of you who know how to drive stick shift, standard, with a clutch in a vehicle. So if you don't know how, you've been in a car where someone was trying. When you first try to do something new, you're using your conscious mind. You're using 2 to 4% of your capacity. And that's why it goes, and it's not working really well. And the first time you're driving stick shift or standard, it is not the best experience. But the more you do it, the more fluent it gets. It's not that the task gets easier, is that your ability to do it has increased. Follow me on this. Listen and think about this. Your ability to do it has increased because of repetition. And soon, instead of using the 2 to 4% to create the shifting, it goes passed down into a programming of the subconscious mind, which is in charge of 96 to 98% of what you do. So therefore, years later or months later or a week later, actually years later, you can actually drive a standard. The phone is ringing in the car and then you take one finger, you shut down the radio, and then you put the flasher to take a left. You downshift in second gear as you're answering, hello, Francois speaking, may I help you? All in one shot, no effort done. Why? It is in your subconscious mind. It is programmed.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
And so
we are
why
back,
is this so important?
with
Because since the habits regulate what it is that we're doing, and they become paradigms because many habits are forming our paradigms, they create your results. They create my results. They create everyone's results. So changing your paradigm then changes your results. But habits are strong and they're rooted very deep, good ones and bad ones. The good habits form good results. The bad habits form bad results. And oftentimes the mistake that many people do, and I stand to help correct that, is that people want new results. They say, I'm going to change my behavior. So it says, it's hard to change your behavior. And it's also short term because your habits will always win. I'll give you an example of myself. Cookies. I like some cookies. And so, and I have 6 kids, but now there's this 17-year-old that eats like a bottomless pit. And whenever we finish supper, he takes out a bag of cookies and he starts to eat them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he can go up to 10. And he's just eating them and he's skinny like a bone. And so I eat 1 cookie and then, because I'm a sweet tooth. So I eat a cookie, I eat 2, and sometimes I eat 3, 4. I go, whoa, 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 why am I doing this? No. This is not what I want. But yet I'm doing it. It's the subconscious mind that takes over. And so now in order to change it, I had to shift my habit. And so in order to shift my habit, I create a new image of the person I want to be. And now instead of taking a cookie like he does and putting in 1 shot in my mouth, I take a little bite and then a little bite and then a little bite. Next thing you know, out of a cookie, I have 6, 7, 8 bites. So sometimes I just have 1 cookie or maybe 2, maybe, but that's it. I was able to change it, but I had to change the paradigm. I had to change the habit. And that came through repetition. And so all these things that we're talking about is to help us understand that changing habits changes results, but it changes it permanently. And results that stick. Think about when you were riding a bike. You know, you can watch all the YouTube videos online and they're going to teach you how to ride a bike so easily. Fantastic. Riding a bike, that's easy. And then until you put your butt on a bike and you start doing it, and newsflash, you will fall. You will never learn how to ride a bike. You need to experience it. So for information to create transformation, we need integration. And an integration has many things. Number 1 is doing it. Number 2 is the feeling. If you're always afraid of going on a bike, you'll never do it. But if you anticipation of, I want to do like my friends or neighbors to actually ride a bike or be with mom and dad and ride a bike. Well, there you go. So through that feeling, it'll